Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Art Things Considered, where we consider art. My name is Matthew Slaza.
I'm Isabella Pico.
And I'm Sabrina Brago.
And this is, sadly, the last episode of the season of Art Things Considered.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
so sad, guys.
It actually, it makes me sad because, like... Oh, my God.
Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Yeah, because the two of you are graduating, right?
Yeah, and we have to, like, live life.
Oh my gosh, graduation. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, on a personal note, I have no idea what's going on with my cap and gown because I haven't gotten any emails. Like, I don't know. Do I have to go pick it up or something?
Yeah, the 17th.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Because, like, they don't even tell you anything. They're just like,
I
yeah, pay
know.
a billion years in advance and then never find out.
He's so prepared for life, guys. So
Ugh.
prepared.
Yeah, sure.
I
But-
went to an event the other day where I was like, oh, it was like a graduation event. And everyone kept asking me what my plans are, like post-grad. And I was like, can we not talk about this? Like,
Do you guys know what you're doing yet?
I highly agree with that. I mean, I have my, like, plan, but I don't have a job. You know what I mean? Like, the thing is, like, people just expect you, especially in this field, it's like, you should never expect somebody who's graduating with a degree in, like, film or TV to have, like, a job lined up, because it's not even, like, a traditional thing. Like, no one in this major should be getting a job. If they actually want to do film and TV, should have a job waiting for them, unless it's like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to work on this individual production at some point. You know, because we don't generally get, like, jobs long-term unless you're getting a production company job, in which case you better be prepared to start now. And for
Yeah.
me, I didn't want to start till fall, so it's like they don't know their openings that far in advance, you know? So I'll be job hunting all summer because I don't want to start until August or September because I have plans over this summer, and I've been going hard for 16 years of my life. I think I deserve
I'll
one summer.
take a time out.
And
Yeah.
I'll still work, like, and I'll probably freelance because I have a couple of friends that and you know, some network connections that have stuff that'll happen over the summer. So I'll probably freelance work or something, but I don't feel the need to tie myself down for multiple years this instant. You know?
Yeah, which makes sense.
yeah, that's fair.
Fair.
And there are people who are like, oh, no, I have to do that, and that's fine. Like, and especially if you're in more like news or something, that's 1,000 times easier. Yeah, because those jobs are like, they know that 6 months ahead of time. They're always hiring. But for me, it's more like, okay, I'm going to look at the select group of production companies I want to work for in these select areas, and like keep asking and seeing until I get a job. So it's like I have a plan, and I'm not particularly worried about getting through, but you know, don't ask me what I'm going to do.
Yeah, because it's like I have things that are like, I have like a very solid backup plan, and then like I've been interviewing places and stuff, so I'm just like waiting to hear back from those places, and this is around the time that I should be hearing back. So it's like,
Yeah, I feel
okay,
you.
this is exciting, but at the same time, like I don't want to have to explain to anyone what that is. Like, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, well, winnie, and and then, like, the person that I'm with is like, oh, yeah, I just got a job in New York. And I'm like, haha, okay. But
Where's
I don't,
your job at?
I don't
My
want to,
mom's couch.
yeah. Well, no, thankfully I won't be on my parents' couch. So that's good.
Oh, there
But,
we
like,
go.
but yeah, I've decided I don't want to do, like, the LA, New York thing.
Well, like, I
really
don't, like, no, the
where
LA thing
have you
I
been
could
looking
never.
for jobs? You said you got some interviews. You don't have to say where, but more like what locations, what type.
Definitely like the Southeast.
Really?
Yeah, because I am not gonna live in California. You could pay me enough, but they won't. So
That's pretty
Isn't
fair.
like Atlanta, right? Is a really big place
Oh,
for
Atlanta's
film TV
poppin'.
shows. Yeah.
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 I wouldn't mind moving.
I mean, that's
to
one of the
Atlanta.
places I'm looking. I say that because that's not where I want to be long term, is Southeast, but I am looking for jobs in that area now, just because, one, my girlfriend's going to be here another year, so I want to be somewhere vaguely close.
exactly, that's a factor.
And two, like, I'd rather get like my feet wet here, you know, in this
Same.
area, and then, you know, kind of network here, and then a lot of the production stuff happens in Atlanta, to be honest.
Yeah,
And like a lot of it, a lot of the development and pre-production, and even a lot of post happens over in LA and New
yeah.
York. But like, if
All
you
the
want to
real
actually work on
production stuff.
sets,
yeah,
Atlanta's
like
the place
real
to be.
production stuff, yeah, I like that.
yeah.
But yeah, like the stuff that I want to do, like camera or like sound or, you know, that type of stuff, even if it's like third AC or something, whatever, is all here. And really, I'd rather just get a job with a production company and learn as much as I can for 2 years here, and then
Yeah.
go somewhere and be like, oh, I know everything. This is good.
Yeah,
So-
where they like chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah, and like there's less pressure, and they love you and appreciate you because you know more than most of the people they hire from those things usually,
Right.
And that way I can learn everything and be done. And yeah, so that's my plan. I just wish people would stop asking. Like, I forgot, I guess, because 4 years ago I was like, I hate this. And then I forgot that in 4 years it's going to be like, again, hey, what are you going to do
What's
for the
your next
rest of your
move?
life?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to figure that out and be open, particularly in an industry where it's evolving. Like, shut up.
Yeah. Like, please leave me alone. I
My-
don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, well, because like also our industry is like so freaking crazy, huge, and vast that you could do so many different jobs for so many different people. It's insane to be like,
Yeah.
well, what do you want to do? It's like, oh, well, I want to just edit podcasts that are comedies on iTunes. It's like, what are you insane? Like, how am I going to know what I want to do?
Yeah.
And like particularly for me, because I love like this, I love radio stuff, I love film, I love TV. It's just I do this whole conversation when people ask me that. So
Yeah.
don't ask me because you don't want to hear this.
Just play this part over podcast.
I'm gonna put it on my phone. Yeah, now that I have it.
Just
audio.
record it and then be like, oh, what are your plans? Here you go.
That'd be hilarious though if I just go like, oh, 1 second, pull out my phone,
Watch
hand them
this.
headphones,
Watch this 2-minute video I made on why I don't want you to ask me this question.
like animate this in After Effects or something.
Yeah.
Just go for it. So we're 6 minutes in, but that's fine, right? We'll hit them with a Broadway beat a little late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little, 6 minutes late, but it's okay. They're graduating. They can do whatever they want on this last
And it's
episode.
it's the last episode, so like this is gonna be more of a fun, chillax environment, guys.
Chillax.
Yeah, but
Anyway, go ahead, Isabella.
my turn. We done talking. I'm staying, guys. So guess what? You get me for another year.
Get
How
pumped.
exciting! But yeah, get pumped. But anyways, not a lot to talk about this week. Kind of just want to talk about Sarah Bareilles and how her waitress role has been going. She's playing Jenna right now in the show.
Indeed.
And she leaves it on June 11th. But I found this interview she did with the New York Times, and I really just like thought this was the cutest thing. She said that waitress is one of my proudest accomplishments, and I just think that's so true when you look at how much time and how much energy and just everything she has put into this show. She did the lyrics, she did the music, she did so much, and now she's playing Jenna in the show. And she was just talking about in the interview like how when they knew that what's her name who played Jenna before her? Oh my gosh, she was in another show before.
I could have helped you much earlier,
I know,
but I'll
I
say it
can't.
now. It's Jessie Mueller.
Jessie Mueller. There we go. I knew it was something with the J. 'cause
I was just
Jessie
waiting.
and
I was like,
Jenna.
she'll get there, but then
No,
you didn't.
I didn't
so.
get it, but it's okay. Anyways, Jessie, when she was saying that they knew that Jessie was going to be leaving the role of Jenna, she was like, wow, wait a minute. Like, she said, it was something like, she said that she got a spark of like, inner. She was like, I think I could do this. I think I could play this role.
And she
I
went
helped
for it,
craft
yeah.
this role. I helped did it. And she said she had to really learn how to be Jenna, but she did it. And I think from what I've seen so far on everything, social media wise and internet wise, like she's been kicking ass, like in the show. I think everybody's been in love with her.
It's
seeing
really
her.
interesting because like she was talking about the process of casting the role, and she says like in her book, for example, she says that when she saw Jessie Mueller, she was like, oh, well, okay, so that's the person.
Yeah,
like it's not
exactly.
me. It's
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
definitely her. And so it's funny because when they announced her, it's like, oh, okay, so she was like, yeah, you can have the role, but in like a couple of months,
It's gonna be me.
I'm taking it back.
It's gonna be me. Like,
And I
but-
think it's funny because like the new announcement. Well, you just go ahead and share.
Yeah,
who's
well,
gonna come
it just got
next.
announced that the woman who will be replacing Sarah now is going to be Betsy Wolfe. And when Sarah leaves June 11th, Betsy coming in June 13th. Yeah, she's going to be coming in June 13th. So, I almost feel like it's too soon to be replacing her. But I mean, like, it's been what? Like,
Well, she announced immediately that it was
Yeah.
only going to be a 12-week.
yeah, she
Which makes sense for
didn't
like.
want to make it long.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, she doesn't have the time.
Yeah, and she's not, naturally trained for Broadway. She's had
It's
to
a
learn how to
long
do all this.
engagement, even.
Yeah.
So like, it's interesting, but also like they had to announce their placement early because you always have to,
Yeah.
especially if she's only going till June and it's April.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to announce that. But two, I think it's interesting because I think she just wanted to do it. Like I think they could have found somebody else and been long term, and I think she just went, yeah, do you guys mind if I do a limited engagement? And they're like, yeah, that'll sell tickets. And you can sing. Obviously, you put out an album of you singing the song, so it's
Yeah.
like Might as well, and it's gone really well. It's gone better than I think even she expected.
I think so too. And I honestly, like, just from watching the clips and everything, she just looks like she's having such a good time. And like, if you look at all the behind the scenes stuff too, she's just like glowing. Like, I saw this one video of them like putting the Jenna wig on her. I almost said Jessie, the Jenna wig, and she was just like, oh my god, like this is so cool, like, you know, and just it's great. It's really nice to see her just like flow. Not, you know, it's not an easy flow. It's been a lot of like a self-training, and she's got to like teach herself and have others help her to fit into this role. But it's great to see her play a role that she basically created for Broadway, you know, and she didn't think she was going to get to.
Yeah,
So-
it is kind of crazy. Anytime somebody writes, like Lynn being in Hamilton, it's like,
Yeah.
anytime somebody writes a significant portion of any show or is heavily involved in the pre-production of a show, it's like, it's got to be so interesting to be a part of it as it evolves as well.
Yeah, you know,
You
I
know?
feel like that's got to be so surreal because you're like making this role and you're making this music and you're making, you know, all of it. And then you get to step into that, you know, and they already have to be in that mindset when they're making the lyrics and music and everything, you know, they have to be from that person's point of view. And then to just hand off the role to somebody else and be like, okay, here, take my creation, you know, do it like on stage. But then to get to do it themselves, I feel like that's got to be so rewarding, you know?
Yeah, I also feel like the weirdest thing to me, if I were her, would be, oh, I wrote these words this way, I wrote the music this way, and then somebody tells me, oh, actually, so this is supposed to be this, like this is supposed to be meaning this, and you're supposed to be feeling this, and it's just like, first of all,
excuse me, when I wrote this, that was not how I was feeling. Like,
it's just got to be really interesting for her, and I wonder how like she's handling that. But it seems like she's just so over the moon, it doesn't even matter.
yeah, 10 weeks left, I believe. I think this is week 2 of her in
Yeah,
the
2 or
show.
3, and I'm really pumped because like Betsy Wolf's an amazing replacement. I think
Yeah.
it shows a lot of confidence too in the show because I was worried that when Sarah Bareilles' run was done, the show was going to close.
Yeah.
And
But no,
it seems like it's revitalized
it's-
tickets enough that it's going to run
yeah,
for a
it's
while.
been doing pretty decently, I'm pretty sure. You know, I think it's I like don't want to say this because I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think it's sitting in like the top 10 or at least for sure top 15 for like Broadway.
I mean, it's
right
top
now.
10,
Yeah.
but like that doesn't necessarily mean anything on Broadway.
But I mean, like, you know, for it could have died out when Jenna left, you know.
it's doing a lot better, actually, than for like about 4 weeks of when Jessie was about to leave. It wasn't doing great, but it's picked up a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But keeping on the waitress trend real quick, I actually realized when I was first looking at when Sarah was joining the show and stuff, the guy who's playing Dr. Potimer, who is like her love person or love interest in the show.
Love person.
Love person, her person, but
I like that.
I like looked at his face and I was like looking at it and I was like, oh my god, like you look really familiar, like where do I know you from? And I'm not sure if I said this the last episode I was here, but I finished The Office finally. God bless, it's such an amazing show. I basically almost bawled my eyes out.
No
at the
spoilers.
end.
I'm still 2 seasons
Yeah,
away. from
spoiler
being
free,
done.
no worries. But I'm looking at his face. I'm like, I recognize you. And I looked up his bio, and I was like, oh my god, you were in the last season of The Office. They finally show you like the production team, you know, who's been following them around, and he's one of the main guys on the production team, and like he's actually friends with Pam and Jim in the show. So that's not really a spoiler or anything. Like, you know, they just show you the production team, but it was so funny because I really liked his character, and I had just seen him on The Office, and you know that show's. God, you know, I don't want to say it, but that show's getting old already. Like, you know, compared to, I think our generation was the one who grew up with it on TV, but I think the generation coming after us, like, you know, I think they know The Office from like streaming it, not from TV.
Yeah, it's really interesting
But-
actually because I watched The Office all on Netflix so far. Like,
Yeah, so have I.
I didn't watch it live really. The only time I ever caught episodes even was on TBS, you know, so it's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. And similarly with 30 Rock, and I think it's Comedy Central or FX or whatever it was on for a while, but
Yeah.
until I watched it. And so it's kind of an interesting consumption, you know. The love is still there. It's almost sometimes like it's like amplified, but in a different way, you know, because like when you're with characters over 8 years, that's like a relationship.
Oh my
you know?
gosh, yeah. If you look, I was watching the bloopers behind the scenes the other day with them. I'm not gonna talk about this long because you know it's not Broadway, but you sit there and you laugh all day on set with each other. You know that's got to build such great friendships from that. You're just joking around and getting to know people. But yeah, I love The Office. It's such a good show. last thing though I want to talk about, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory opened up its previews. Chocolate, yeah. Opened up its previews on March 28th. And it's officially opening on April 23rd. But Playbill released some photos from the set and what the show looks like and everything, and it looks
crazy.
It looks so cool.
Yeah,
It looks.
They even transformed the outside, like, because when I was there in January, they had just transformed the outside of the theater.
Really?
It looks like you're walking into a chocolate factory.
That's so cool.
And I actually, this is like super on topic, but super odd. When I was at BroadwayCon, one of the people who spoke at one of the panels was in the show.
Oh.
And so she was talking to me about the set and like all this stuff, and she was like, you know, you can't tell anybody now. And I was like, oh, okay. But like, and I'm not going to say any specifics, but she said some stuff that was just like, this set is unlike any set of any show you've ever been to.
Okay, Matt, you can't say that. That's such a tease, man.
Like,
That's such a tease.
I'm not teasing. I'm just saying, if you can go
though.
see the show, go see the show.
But go see the show, guys. It
Plus,
looks really cool.
probably free chocolate, right?
Yeah, free chocolate. Wow, that'd be so cool.
Or expensive paid-for chocolate that you'll buy.
Yeah.
Because you will.
Yeah. Oh, God, I would.
It'll probably be like the Pies and Waitress. I swear to you, even if Waitress sells 0 tickets, they're making massive money on those pies. I don't know what's going on with that, but they charge like $5 for this tiny little pie, and it's so worth it as a consumer. But for them, it's got to cost them like like $1.
Yeah, if even. Like probably
10%, 15%. So they're
Yeah.
making like 85. Anyway,
God, lucky.
this is economics. But yeah,
It
go
is
see Charlie
economics.
and Chocolate Factory. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to mention though real quick, it's 3
Or
kids.
Willy Wonka, right? They're doing
Willy
the Willy
Wonka.
Wonka version.
Yeah, Willy Wonka. Is it Willy Wonka or is it Charlie and the Nope,
question.
Charlie and the Chocolate
I
Factory.
was right.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
good.
were right. You were right. But
Put a gold star.
yeah, gold star for Matt, guys, on the last episode. But one of the kids you've got 3 kids who are alternating between playing Charlie in the show, and one of them, Ryan Faust, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name.
Mm-hmm.
He is actually from Tampa, Florida.
Is that supposed to be a drum roll?
Yeah, basically. Like, it was a sad little drum roll, but yeah, he's from Tampa, and I think that's really cool because that's 2 hours away from us, and this kid's
That's
on
where
Broadway.
I'm from. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and now he's on Broadway.
He sounds ridiculously familiar, like the name. So
He's
I'm
been
gonna have to
in
look it up.
productions. What did it say? He's played Chip in Beauty and the Beast. He's played Jack in Cinderella Kids. He's played Michael in Peter Pan, and he's also been in Cats. He's
Did they
played
say what high
Victor.
school he's from? Because that would help.
They do not. It does not.
He's probably not even. Actually, he's probably too
I
young.
feel like no. Yeah, he's probably too young for high school. Maybe he has like an older sibling.
I feel like I was gonna. I
Too
feel like I just like
young?
have heard the family.
How old is this kid?
Well, it's
Charlie
Charlie,
and the
and the
Chocolate-
Chocolate Factory,
Charlie
so he
and
used to be a
the
kid.
Chocolate
Oh, he's
Yeah.
Charlie.
yeah, he's Charlie.
Oh, no.
Probably
Charlie.
like 12 tops.
What if you knew
Yeah.
his brother or something?
I think that like I literally might like have in passing met that person in a class or something, like a brother or the family or somehow.
Probably.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. One person away from knowing
Call him
someone on
up,
Broadway.
be like, "Hey, I was wondering if I could meet you after the show. I'll pay for my ticket, but I would like to meet
Don't even
you."
give me the ticket. I want the chocolate.
As a
I
Tampa
know you have
native.
extras.
I'll just tell them to send me $2,000 worth of chocolate. That's
There you
fine.
go. Perfect.
Who needs a free ticket? I'll
No.
Just get $2,000 worth of chocolate.
Just chocolate. But
Anyway, is that going to wrap up the Broadway beat?
one last quick little blurb. The Anastasia cast went in. They started recording the album.
That's
so
exciting.
that's really exciting. You reorder it now, I'm pretty sure, but it's coming out in June. I want to say. I think that's what I said the last time. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that, guys, because I'm pumped and you should be pumped. So
I'm
that's
pretty
it.
pumped about it.
That's the last Broadway beat for this year.
All right, so everyone tend to your year-long wounds because you've been beat up every week for
Every
a
week.
long time. Like
Yep.
that's some lasting damage, like
Every
mentally and physically. Anyway, in classic local theater fashion, I have an interview this week. Yeah, that's right. That's 3 weeks in a row. Somebody's doing their job here. But I have an interview with the director of the local production of Columbinus over at the ART, the Across Town Repertory Theater. Very interesting interview, very interesting theater, but the show itself is really important. And I mean, I'm going to talk about, I talk about it in the interview, obviously, but I would just, if you have time and you can only see one show, it's worth going to see Columbinus in the next, I'd prefer this weekend, But what I think obviously doesn't matter. But if you can go see it, it's just, anytime there's a serious show that's done here that's not done very many places, I just feel like it's worth taking advantage of. People
That's
don't
true.
do productions of stuff like this a lot often. And the ART is very much known for just being like, we'll do anything if we think it should be done. And I appreciate that. Otherwise, there are 2 other shows that you could see this weekend. We have UF's production of King Lear. That's wrapping up this weekend through Saturday. It'll be playing. I'm actually going to see that tonight. And then, have either of you guys gone to see it?
Not yet, but I've had a couple of friends who have gone and who have seen it, and they said that they really liked it.
Oh, yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
When
Yeah.
is it playing until? Because I really don't have time this
Saturday
weekend.
night?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, it's wrapping up because finals are the next week.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Should
better
see it.
luck next
Better
year.
luck
Oh, it's so
JK.
sad. I know a couple of the people in the cast, and
Yeah,
they're
me
absolutely
too.
amazing. So yeah, my review will be not forthcoming because we're not going to have another podcast. But you can look on the Facebook page. I'll probably make a post.
Yeah.
Outside of that, that's playing through this weekend. As I said, the ART at the Columbinus also playing this weekend. But Hamlet is actually another Shakespeare play is opening at the Hippodrome this weekend. And that'll be playing through May 7th, so you have plenty of time to see that if you want to wait and catch these shows. But it's supposed to be really good, and the Hip has a history of doing really interesting adaptations of Shakespeare, so definitely worth checking out when you have time. Anyway, so like I said, this week I interviewed the director of Columbinus at the ART, and here's that interview. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's local theater segment. As I said, we are lucky this week to have Susan Christophe in. She is the director of Columbinus over at the Acrosstown Repertory Theater, and she's going to be talking about this show this week. I talked about this last week. I'm really interested to see that someone was brave enough to do this show at a local theater, because it's a hard show to direct, especially, like, props to you to go about and adapt and make your own and still keep the story true and walk the line that the show is, you know, because it's a little bit of fact, a little bit of fiction, but to get the journey more complete, not necessarily to make it different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's not the first time we tackled it, though. In reality, 8 years ago, we did the show at Gainesville High School with high schoolers
Really?
in its entirety without a word cut from it.
That's then good for you. Yeah.
It was an amazing journey, which is why I was so excited to take it on at the Art, because we had such an amazing experience and an amazing outpouring from the community and from the school when we did it then, that I just couldn't wait to tackle it in a community setting without a little bit of the high school fear that I had taking it on as a high school teacher. And with the ability to just kind of put that fear aside and be able to delve into it on a different level, which we did.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just super exciting, and I imagine that the directing must have been drastically a different style. Because with high school students, it's a different way to get people into character usually in general.
Absolutely.
Especially with the age range of the people in this show. So I'm kind of curious how you went about adapting, especially at the ART, where some of these actors have never acted before. How did you go about trying to wield everybody into your mind, you know?
Well, first, we have such a very wide age range. One of our actors, the youngest actor in the show, is actually 15 and turned 15 during rehearsals.
Wow.
She is by far the youngest, and I dare anybody to come and find her and figure out which one she is, because you won't, which is why she's in the show. She's a remarkable young lady and has a very wide range of talent that I look forward to seeing her expand on as she goes on in life. But and then we have a 29-year-old. That's the range of ages,
Wow.
and you would never know it on our stage. You really wouldn't, which tells you the universal language of our show. It really is so universal that it touched home to all of them. They could all find themselves in this production.
I mean, it's a universal story. I mean, it sounds awful, but when I talk to fellow theater people, like, they get it. It's like, the reason theater has been around for so long is because it's one of the hardest and easiest art forms to capture a tragedy and translate it in a universal way that doesn't insult the tragedy, you know?
Absolutely. And which is the beauty of Columbinus, when I first found it, is that it didn't sensationalize the Columbine incident, which is the most important thing to me. I mean, I lived in Colorado and in Littleton, a mile and a half from Columbine High School until 1995. My father was actually across the road from Columbine High School, and his business was used by SWAT during the actual Columbine incident. And the images that we see of the Columbine incident, my best friend's little sister is in those images running from the school. And so it's very powerful to me that and important to me that I didn't allow this to be sensationalized once. It could never be. I never wanted you to be like, oh, that's so dramatic. Never. Once. It had to be as honest as possible in asking questions and probing, as opposed to just appearing with ta-da moments. So, which it does. It never really allows you to think you're watching a movie. We approached it very Breckian, very much style of Breckian theater, and in the fact that you're watching actors. They start off as actors. They put on their characters. They accept their roles, and at times they throw the roles back in your face. They don't want them. They're hard to live with. And the set is moved. You watch them move the set. You watch them create the new places and spaces. We never want the audience to forget that this is a play, that you're a part of it, because that's the whole idea of Columbine Us. So.
Wow, that's I was gonna say that's really. I was gonna say it's a pun, but it's not. It's like an emotional pun. I don't even know how to respond to it.
Yeah, it really. Columbine is us. There's a lot of ways that the actors have their own take on it themselves, but Columbine is us. Columbine us.
Everyone.
Just,
yeah. And that's like when I heard you guys were doing this show. I was like, first of all, Community doing this show, a surprise. But then I was like, but the ART doing the show, 100%, because you're in the show there.
Yes.
Like you get to live that. And so that makes perfect sense because any show they do there, especially if it's more of a storytelling type show, like The Pillow Man was really interesting. Stuff where you kind of like get to be a part of the story and you suspend disbelief without forgetting that you're there, you know?
Absolutely.
And so that's just really interesting. But with the drama, I just see it a lot less frequently. So I'm really interested. How did you go about, one, balancing that line, making sure they were in it without pulling them out? But how did you go about like your directing style? What tactics did you use with these actors?
Well, first and foremost, I asked them to draw lines themselves and how far they would go in their research. I told them, I said, there are so many things that you don't need to put in your head. Let me do that because I haven't already done the show. I had tons of research I had already done. And so I had the luxury of being able to pull all my old files and that type of stuff and knowing that I didn't have to see images that weren't necessary because there are a lot of things online that are so gruesome that I just didn't want them to have to partake in. And so they didn't. Most of them absolutely did not. And then checking in with them. We started every rehearsal with a more or less I pose a question and get answers back from them. Really, what that was me doing was checking in with them and seeing where they were. Now that the show is happening, we were in our first week already. There's some touching base that I have to do after our first production. As the director, I take that journey with them every night and kind of hold their hands mentally. And afterwards, we have a question. We have a talk back with the audience. And as they sit on their boxes down front and I come down front to talk with them, I was just compelled. And I walked down the line and put my hand on each of their backs. And the giant sigh that took each and every one of them as they kind of let go of their characters and let go of that moment, which was really necessary. So every day is different with them, how they go about dealing with it. My son's in the show. My son actually plays Eric Harris, and he's actually been very disassociative from it, very much so. But unfortunately, Sunday, it hit him very hard. He... we call it a Heath Ledger moment where you lose yourself in the character. Yeah. And the problem is that he really kind of can understand Eric Harris's anger from being bullied and from not being heard as a teenager. Not by myself. My husband and I are very attentive parents, probably more than he wants us to be, but from other people, because he was a theater kid and kind of lived on the outskirts of, the popularity in the world such as that. But,
yeah, we all know that world.
Yeah. So he kind of always really understood Eric, but never the murderous side, never wanting to hurt people. He's not that same person. but whenever he felt Eric on Sunday, it took a toll on him.
That's rough. Yeah.
It took a very hard toll on him, and he spent Sunday evening at home with his mom and dad. You know, he's almost 20 years old, but still, Sunday night was a night with mom and dad, just having dinner and watching stupid television. And
Yeah. With a show just so, and I hate to say the word, but like taxing as an actor, it's
Yeah.
just like you can't do it justice if you don't get in there. So it's
Absolutely.
hard because you have to balance your mental health, like you're
Mhm.
getting back into yourself with that. And there are some actors, and like great for them, that can just be like completely method throughout an entire performance or something. I could never do that.
No,
I
And
would need the normalcy and the grounding of being myself. You
yeah,
know.
there's a acting coach or a style of directing that said that that's what leads to the insanity. Is that every time if you were to take on that character every single time and lose yourself in that character, that's what leads actors to insanity. Because if you do that, where are you anymore?
Yeah.
Where are you anymore?
And are you really acting at that
Right.
point even? And that's like kind of the interesting, acting nerds talking, but it's like if you're becoming your character and then staying your character,
Where's the
then
acting?
when do you get back to yourself to transform into a new character?
Absolutely.
Are you just really good at being characters? And then at that point, are you a real person? Or you so like
Absolutely.
it's just kind of interesting to think of that way. And
Absolutely.
and getting back at this show in particular, it's just the balancing act of the fact that a lot of it is just like based on true facts that happen there, and some of it's based on conjecture, right? Or like things that happen that you would then put into a play
Right.
form.
Some of it's very abstract. There's one of the hardest sections is really the darkest humor section in the first act is called natural selection. Our
Ooh.
yeah, it's history lessons, the other name for it, and what it is you're in Eric Harris's head as he learns and is learning multiple things. He's hearing the story of Adam and Eve, or Cain and Abel, and then he learns of Leopold and Loeb,
Mhm.
and then he's learning about the neo-Nazi movement and all of these things and how he takes them in and what he takes from them. And it's done in the darkest of humor ways. The audience wants to laugh, and you do laugh. I mean, you do. And
Because
then
you have to laugh.
yeah, and you feel really guilty about it for a moment because it goes from a very humorous moment and it slides right into a very unhumorous place. And so it's done so smart. It is done. They took, the writers of the script took so much time to really get into the heads of teenagers and the people who they interviewed. They took the time with what they said and really tried to make it as honest as they could, and still make it theater, without making it a bunch of people just sitting around talking about it. They really wanted to make it as honest as they could and to let you see what was happening in the minds of these kids. And a lot of it is Dylan and Eric's writings, and a lot of it is the students who suffered through, the actual massacre. It's all of these things written, and it's before, it's before it happened. And so that's what we have on stage.
It's got to be hard to me, and like I have a decent amount of knowledge about the event itself because you can't really paint them as villains without the show not working, in a weird way.
Absolutely.
They have to be, at least they can be, because you can have a villain who's just identifiable and able to be understood, and there is pain there. Like there's a reason they did what they did. Does that mean it's justifiable? Not at all. But you
Absolutely
have to
not.
at least understand the reason to understand the whole journey of the thing in the first place,
I think what this show really does is it says, where's the line? It shows that every one of us has the capability. Every one of us are empty vessels, so to speak. We all take on identities or have identities thrust upon us. When we can't find identities, who do we relate to and what do we relate to? And so those things push us to these other places and to these other things that sometimes are unhealthy.
Yeah.
And then mental illness plays such a large part in it, especially for Dylan and Eric, as we are wont to forget that they were both suicidal. It's the one thing we absolutely can never forget. Because to forget it is to forget the mental health issue that was involved with it.
And to forget it is to forget the reason that it happened.
Absolutely.
And that's my biggest thing is, as somebody who, I do love a comedy, I do love a musical, but a straight play that makes you consider how things were reached in the characters' minds is doing its job, is representing what theater can
Right.
do for people. And this is like a shining example of the idea that sometimes you may not agree with the way people think, sometimes you may not agree with what they do, but you can logically look at the steps they made and go, I can see how they did it.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
Absolutely. Because it's really funny because some of our talkbacks have been so interesting. They really have people, and they're never the same. Absolutely never the same because every person has their own.
They shouldn't be the same.
Yeah, every person has their own unique experiences that they've lived through and they bring it to the theater and watch the show and then share it with us. And, one person really said, if I didn't know anything about Columbine and sat and watched this show up until the moment that Dylan and Eric become Dylan and Eric, because in Act 1, they're not. They're freaking loner. Mm-hmm. She's like, I would never think Dylan and Eric are the ones who perpetrate the crime. She's like, I would think it was AP. She's like, because he is so on the verge of breaking. And I'm like, well, they all are. That's the point. They're all on the verge of breaking. And she's like, absolutely. And she's like, because I was AP. So on the verge of breaking. Always felt like I was on the verge of breaking. And I was like, that's the point.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is somebody who has like, everyone has thoughts of like, okay, what am I going to do with this? I'm like, I'm not fitting in here, not fitting there. How am I going to go? And like, as somebody who's dealt with like depression, and I feel like everybody understands the mindset of like, if I had just thought of this a little differently and not had that person say this, like what would have happened? And like these examples of tragedies, it's like these are preventable if we can just like actually actively talk. And I think that's the biggest thing, is people want to go like, oh no, it's a tragedy. No, it's sad. It's like, if we talked about those more and why they happened, people would have something in their mind of like, I can't do that because that's what that person did, and that didn't work out well for them, like, obviously, and didn't work out well for anybody, and didn't solve the problem in the first place.
Well, it's this fine edge of asking yourself, are we doing, by putting this on stage, are we doing exactly what they wanted to by glorifying it? But there's also this place where you say, if we don't put it on stage, are we not discussing it? So there's this, we walk a razor's edge of figuring out how's the best way to talk about it, and which is what this show does, because it doesn't answer any questions for you. Don't come to this show thinking you're going to walk away with this glorious question answered. As a matter of fact, you're going to walk away
with more questions.
With more questions and talking about it, which is what the talkback is for. We thought it was derelict of us to perform this show, ask you to ask questions, but not give you a place to do so, to start that conversation. Which is what we do when we just start the conversation. Sometimes the cast has questions after their performance for the audience, because they just took that journey with you as well, and they have lots of questions sometimes. But it is definitely a razor's edge we walk as an art, as to where the glorification or the actual just simple looking at and studying to try and figure out what's the best way to handle it.
And it's, I completely agree with the dilemma there, but I think that the right choice is always going to be to talk. I mean, a dialogue is always, and I feel like people try to pretend like if we don't talk about something, it'll go away. And that tends to be a tendency, especially in America for some reason. But
that was mental illness for the longest time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still like one of the biggest issues with mental illness is if you don't talk about something, it's not going to change. And like, yes, you could glorify something by talking about it, sure. But even if you were to glorify it by talking about it, if you actually talked about it with somebody, there would be the counter of like, why do you think this is the right choice for you? Mm-hmm. There's the mitigation. I feel like the argument that people make that if you talk about something, you can make it automatically good. It's like, no, the whole idea of talking about something is to get the good and the bad and understand the whole idea of the subject.
Yeah, weighing the options, weighing both sides of the factors are definitely the most important thing, and which is what we do. I mean, sometimes in the talkbacks we don't always have the agreeable It's not always the agreeable. I mean, we had one gentleman who was, definitely older, and he came at the cast with, I heard a lot of me in the first act. He's like, don't you think that's what's wrong with your generation? It's all me. Oh. And, the funny thing is, though, is that he's not completely wrong.
Well, I think
he really isn't completely wrong. We are of a different generation. We are so connected but disconnected. We really are. So he's not completely out there. But for us to talk about it and to look at him and say, we are a different place than you live. We have so many more things and technological advances than you lived with. Perhaps you looking at things a little differently and us looking at you a little differently is a good start. Maybe he walked out of there with a different viewpoint, which is the most important thing, is looking at people differently, just a little bit of empathy.
Yeah, and just kind of, especially like with the current state in this country right now, I think it's just important, like, even for me, I have views that I think are correct. I think everyone thinks their views are correct, right? But sitting there and listening to somebody and going, okay, there's truth there. And because if there's some truth, I really need to stop pretending like, because there's mostly not truth to me, there's no validity to what they're saying. If there's some truth to what somebody believes,
absolutely,
then you have to give them the time of day. You have to let them talk. You have to understand and have a dialogue, because what I've found is that when I talk to somebody that has the polar opposite beliefs of me, even if they're telling me like, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, which is fine, we reach a point where we realize a common problem we both have and go, okay, and so this is where we went different directions, and this is where we could still get things done. And then it's like, oh, well, why weren't we there in the first place? It's like, because when you said I was wrong, people's automatic reaction now is to go, I'm right, you're wrong, instead of talking about it. And so, like, particularly for this issue, I've always been an advocate for talking about mental illness and talking about, like, thoughts that you feel like you don't want to talk about in this me generation. I feel like everyone wants to put it, not to say that it's a me generation, but that's the word everyone's saying, right?
The hot button.
That's the hot button phrase, and it's just like, okay, whatever. But as a member of the me generation, I do have to say, I think Bo Burnham said it best. I don't know if you know Bo Burnham, but he said, like, it's a generation. It was a response to what we were given. It's like, yes, it was a response, because if nobody's listening and all of a sudden you can say everything, you would say everything. But the problem is now it's become more so, what do I say?
Right.
Is it what I'm saying what I want to say? Is it what I'm feeling? Or am I just saying things because everyone's saying things and I want them to hear what I'm saying?
Right. Is everybody talking so loud that I'm afraid I'm not being heard at all?
Or am I talking so loudly that what I'm saying isn't even what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because you feel the need to say it. And so, like, I'm still a huge fan of in-person communication and different art forms, because I feel like they capture it better.
Absolutely.
Personally. And, like, social media is great for, like, marketing and for, like, talking with your friends or whatever, but and it's good to maintain friendships. Like, I'm not downing social media by any means, but I think that if you're trying to get the answer to a question, the last thing you should do is post on Facebook or Twitter or social media, because you're not going to get the answer you wanted. And if anything, you're going to either confirm a wrong assumption you have or be diverted from an answer you could have gotten that would have made your life much better. Like,
absolutely.
If you asked me in person, like, what I think about like what I think about depression and, like, the stages of depression, or like people being able to be successful with depression, my answer would be much different than if you made a Facebook post like, so depressed today, LOL, here's my sad face at a table with, like, coffee. Like, how does anyone have a dialogue with you for that, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. So I feel like shows like this are really important, and not just because it's, highlighting an issue, and not just because of mental illness, not because of any of that, but because it shows that if you disagree on something, you can still talk about it. And there has to be more of that.
Absolutely. The cast, of course, has its own opinions. Each one of them has their own thing that they take away from it. But the one thing that every single one of them comes away with, they'll all say at the same time, whenever somebody says, what do you think is the main theme of it? And they'll all say empathy. It's all empathy. If you take a moment to listen and to try and care and to feel exactly, not to go, oh, I understand, I see what you're saying. No, to feel what that person's feeling. Just for a moment, feel what that person's feeling. then you might be able to, actually come to some place where there might be a common ground, just for a moment.
I don't think there's a better way to go out than that.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, that's what art's supposed to be.
Absolutely, it's a mirror to society, and if we're not doing that, it's just breads and circuses.
Exactly. Just to remind everybody, this is Columbinus, going to be playing through April 23rd at the ART. That's the Across Town Repertory Theater, right downtown. If you've been to the Hippodrome, you're missing out, because less than a mile away, another amazing theater is just hiding right there for you. Thank you again so much for being on the show.
Absolutely.
What a wonderful, interesting conversation. I got to tell you, I love talking about art. I know last interview about King Lear got a little off to film, and I like conversations like that, but I think it's just always nice to talk about like the impact theater can have, and so that was really enjoyable. But anyway, we're going to move on from local theater and go ahead and move on to Sabrina's segment, where she's going to enlighten us to what she loves in the world of art.
Yes. I will do that.
Just
so-
like that, right?
I just feel like the way she just said that, I pictured her like standing on a stage like at a Poets, like, coffee shop.
When I was
like,
7,
When I was 7.
I watched a movie.
and then-
I was amazed at the way they could blend art and message.
Oh, okay.
But then I watched The
Well-
Office and I realized comedy was better. Anyway,
Yep.
Yeah.
You're saying.
So it's funny that you mentioned comedy, because I'm definitely I'm gonna be giving a rundown of my closing statements on shows that I think are worth your time. Now that I know Matt and Isabella have watched one of the shows I recommend, I suggest you do too, because it'll change your life. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
two
yeah,
of your shows have changed my life, so good for
Yeah,
you. Good track
so-
record.
just saying, guys, just saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, so well, I didn't have time to watch a TV show this past week
Sheds
because
tear.
usually I'm pretty good. I did watch Grace and Frankie season 3, which was actually pretty easy to finish. I literally had it playing in the background of whatever I was doing. Like if I was showering, I
Yeah.
had my phone out
Oh my
and
god.
I was watching it. It's iPhone 7 is waterproof. Hey. And then
Well, you see, so you get my point then. Like, you were like, you finished 30 Rock so fast. It's like, well, because it's so easy to watch. Like,
it is very easy.
It's different. Like, I still haven't been able to watch Iron Fist, and I'm worried I won't ever get the motivation
I
to
feel
watch
like
it.
you shouldn't.
But you get my point. Is like, it's hard to watch that. But like, the season of 30 Rock, I could knock that out in a day,
Yeah,
man.
that's true. What other? Oh, well, I guess I'm lying. I have watched TV. It's like impossible for me not to. My boyfriend and I just finished season 1 of the Great British Baking Show.
Ooh.
My girlfriend's watching that,
And
it's so interesting.
It's so delightful.
right.
Aw.
It's so cute, and it's so like they're so cute. Like these are
Delightful.
just amateur bakers who
I think that's the coolest part to me. is
Yeah,
they're not like professionals.
Yeah, they're not like, I have 40 bakeries and, and I've been baking since I was born. Like, and then at the end, it's not like they win money or anything. They literally just win like a cake stand.
I didn't know that.
And they-
just do
they
it
get
just
a
to do it
party.
for the love of it.
And
for the
it's
love
just, it's
of
so cute.
baking.
It's so pure. Like, they're just so happy.
The show itself is really interesting because it's like so different than American cooking
Oh,
shows.
yeah. American cooking shows are like,
Cutthroat. Yeah.
Yeah.
like knife noises.
yeah.
like,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Who's
I love
gonna
me,
go?
I love me some Chopped.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
But when
And
it
it's
comes to
like
the baking shows
the
here,
intense music.
yeah, it's too intense. I want it a
Actually,
little
though,
more fun.
I just saw a clip the other day from Gordon Ramsay's cooking show, and this
Oh.
blind woman was
Oh,
on there cooking.
God, I love-
and
that makes me cry.
Oh my god, I
Every single
I
time.
don't usually get like real emotional about stuff, but like he started.
cooking shows get me
Oh
so
my God.
emotional.
He just started tapping the top of the pie crust, and he's like, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that?" And he goes, "It sounds perfect. There is not a soft spot anywhere." And the blind lady's like, she just seemed really insecure about her cooking, and he was like, "Don't you? This is just coming out so good. Believe in yourself." And then he had a slice, and he was like, "The flavor in this is amazing." And she just
Yeah.
like was like about to start crying, and I'm like, "Oh my
I-
god,
I
little
ca-
blind woman!" Oh,
I literally cannot watch that clip without crying.
Hey, Gordon Ramsay.
Like, you talking about it is
God.
making me tear
it's
up.
making me a
Gordon
little
Ramsay
emotional. Like,
with blind people and children. You know,
Yeah.
I used to do the same. I was addicted for a while, and this is slightly off topic, but kind of on topic. Did any of you guys watch? I think it's like it was Restaurant Makeover, or whatever it was with
him.
the
Oh.
dude who was like he was shaved head and he was like super buff.
I know
saw
what you're
like an
talking
episode or
about.
two.
I just can't remember what the name of the show was, but I was addicted to that show.
God, yes.
Like he would like always break down a wall, and he would. But every time at the end of the show, he broke your heart with how much he cared about that family or that restaurant.
True.
And it's just like, I know it's formulaic, I do, but like there's
But you know
something.
what? It works.
Yeah, and there's something about like restaurants and food and like family businesses that makes it okay that it's formulaic. Like Undercover Boss gets old really fast because it's formulaic and corporate.
Yeah.
But like,
never the Kylo Ren version on SNL though.
oh my god, I'm watching Girls right now, and I'll talk about that later. But it made me realize that Adam Driver's an amazing actor because that was like the second thing I saw him in, and I was like, eh. But anyway, so your favorite list of TV shows. Let's see how
Right.
many overlap with ours.
Yeah.
Well, don't
Don't count on
hold your breath. But so my first show I will talk about is Gossip Girl
Oh my God, yes.
because
Ugh.
I
Yes.
love
no,
me.
Don't.
I love
me.
me some
Gossip.
good old CW
Yes.
teen drama
Yes.
about nothing.
Snaps.
Like
God.
So what else is on here?
No, listen.
What do we got?
I'm not.
I could talk about Gossip Girl
Is the OC on
for
here?
hours.
Love the. I just started watching the OC with my friend. I love it, but
How
I'm not.
far are
I'm
you?
not. We think we just finished. Oh, I just finished season 1 because we finished
Alright.
watching season 2.
Season 3 and on is
Or-
garbage, so
yeah.
just stop watching.
But Gossip Girl, I'm not done with it yet. I think I'm on season 3, maybe 4,
Oh,
3. I
really?
The
think.
thing for
Yeah.
me is like the reveal in that show is terrible.
Yeah,
so.
I know who's Gossip Girl, but like
It's
you
horrible.
I don't know about you, but the reason why I love that show is because when you first start watching, you're like, these guys aren't high schoolers, and they're like, we're in high
Yeah.
school, and like we go out drinking like every night, and we like
Yeah.
fly off to Paris whenever we
Yeah.
want, and like
And I'm
half
16.
of me, half
Like-
of me is like, what? Like, where are your parents suck? But then the other,
But
half
their
of
parents
me-
do suck.
Yeah, I love Rufus though. Rufus is my favorite.
Him
But
and his waffles.
then the other half of me is like,
Jesus
I
Christ.
want to live your life. I want
Oh,
to live
yeah,
your
of
life
course.
where like you just fly to Europe whenever you want, you know?
I mean, the thing about CW shows, like especially that type of CW shows, that's the point. Like their audience is just going, "This is
I
crazy.
love
This is
it."
ridiculous. I'll believe it because I want to." You
Live
know?
for the fake. God.
No, like I loved Gossip Girl. There were certainly things about it I thought were wrong, and like Jenny should have left a long time ago.
Oh, Jenny, like
I
from,
hate her.
I've seen a couple episodes with Jenny like ahead of where I am, and Jenny sucks.
Yeah, no, basically everyone from Brooklyn sucks.
Yes. Yes.
Let's keep this focus on the really rich Upper East Side kids. And then one of my favorite things to come out of Gossip Girl is that, I don't know if you guys remember this, but me and my roommate are like hardcore pop culture people, but like then they try to do like a reality show version of it
No.
on
What?
Bravo. Yeah.
No.
Look it up. It was like a bunch of rich prep kids
I know what you're talking about.
on Bravo.
What is
Yeah.
this? Oh my God, no, tell me more.
What was it called?
I can't
It was
remember,
like-
but it wasn't like it was clear that they were ripping off the
Oh
idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was like
Oh,
you
I
had all your
love
classic
it.
characters. There was this guy that was like obviously trying to be Chuck Bass, but it was like,
Bass.
what are you doing?
My
my
favorite Chuck
God.
Bass line is when he says something to Lily. I haven't gotten to this episode yet, but I've seen it. He's like, "You lied to me," and like he just said the way he
Oh,
says
yeah.
it. I'm like, gangster Chuck. Like he's literally Rupert. What's his name? Ronald Weasley. Rupert
Grint.
Grint. Him and Rupert Grint and somebody
What are
else
you
are.
Ed
they're in a new-
Sheeran, first of all. His name is Ed Sheeran.
Actually, did you see that clip?
So funny.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
I think that may be the best thing
Oh,
Rupert Grint's
that show
ever
was
done.
called NYC Prep.
Yeah.
So
it was
stupid.
literally like wanting to be the reality show version of Gossip
Literally.
Girl.
Yeah, that was it.
So horrible.
So stupid.
I remember the promos for that and being
Yeah.
like, "This is gonna be on television." Like,
I
you
watched
sure?
it because
You
it
had
was
to.
so entertaining. But
Oh God,
I
so
get it.
stupid, but-
Well, what's the next show? We spent a lot of time
Yeah.
on Gossip
the
Girl.
next show, you guys will agree, it's Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Oh, I still haven't
Yes.
watched it yet.
Oh my God, no. Okay,
You
listen.
should watch that.
I've
It's my summer show with Sam, so we'll watch it.
do it.
Okay.
I've finished The Office. I finished Parks and Rec. I'm on season 3 of 30 Rock now from Sabrina.
Oh,
I'm
it's
loving
so
it.
good.
I'm loving it so much. I'm in such a happy
Wait
comedy
for
bubble.
4.
You guys
Season
can't
4 is
see, but I
nuts.
have the biggest smile on my face right now.
Season 3 and 4 are arguably the best seasons of that show, and like every season's good.
Some of the best seasons
season
of
3 and 4 are really
comedy.
good. Yeah,
like
but some
I've
of the best
ever
like
seen.
show seasons of any show. Yeah.
like crazy.
the writing on it is just so good. Like,
well,
especially
okay.
season
well,
3.
later-
let's
it's
talk
later in
about
the
30
list,
Rock
right?
a little bit later.
Parks and
but
Rec
like
first,
right
Parks and
now,
Rec first.
yeah, let's
I'm
focus
not
on
as into to
No,
that because
you
I
got-
tried to watch the whole first season and I got bored.
But no, because season 1
Everyone
of,
tells me
of
that.
Parks and Rec,
It's
once
horrible. not
Brandon
horrible,
was
but-
what did she say to him?
It's
The last line she says,
boring.
Mark Bandana quits. I didn't realize that was your name. Mark Bandana quits. As soon as he leaves, the show just like kicks it up like 50 notches,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
gets so much better.
See, everyone tells me that, but it's just like I have such a hard time getting past a full season of a show and then keep watching. You know, because
You'll
like I
see.
tried that with Game of Thrones and I got like 4 episodes in and I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever watched.
What?
So like,
Oh
and
my
everyone's
God,
like, oh no, if you
no.
just get enough that you're hooked, and I'm like, okay.
After the first major death in Game of Thrones, which is like episode like 6 or I think like episode 6, I want to say.
See my point?
Give or take.
6.
Yeah.
I had to get 6 episodes in.
Yeah, but then you get caught up enough in the plot, and you're like, "Oh my god!" And then it
Nah,
happens.
You
and
gotta
you're
at
like,
least sell me
"Oh."
on a character.
I could
and
never-
their characters aren't redeemable
I
enough.
never got into
Oh,
Game
no
of
way.
Thrones. It
You
was
got-
just
you
way
guys-
too
feel you.
much for
Come on,
me.
guys. Come on, guys.
My
But-
boyfriend loves it.
The one thing about Parks and Rec, even as somebody who doesn't love the show, is that you can't deny the impact, like the pop culture impact,
Oh my God,
and like
yes.
even the actors have
yourself
gone on to be so
2011.
successful.
treat yourself. Literally, that's the best thing. And oh my god, when Ben goes with them
and he
buys
gets the Batman
suit.
suit.
God.
Spoilers.
Oh no.
Oh, it's
I'm,
great.
I'm kidding. I'm
okay,
kidding.
okay, because I was like, that's been memed
All right,
everywhere, my
what's
man.
what's after Parks and Rec?
Friends.
This is no in no order, right?
No, it's in.
Friends.
Well, I mean, like the last one is definitely my favorite show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Friends.
Friends,
Friends.
is so good. I've
Friends
seen
is
that
great.
show at least 20 times all the way through.
Yeah.
Probably more. Probably
I-
more like 40.
I love Friends.
Well, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, the best thing about Friends, they were saying was that, like, when we watched it when we were younger, like, yeah, it was funny, but now
So
as
much
like
funnier.
young adults, we just relate to it so much
Oh,
more, and I
yeah.
have such an appreciation for it.
yeah.
I binged it this summer when I was doing my internship
That's what
because
I
I
did
was
too.
just like I was watching it and it's just like, oh wow, yeah, so you're doing a job and you're doing a job you're not like they give you a task you're not qualified for, and then immediately they give you a task you're overqualified
Yeah.
for, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so I just did something really well that I shouldn't have been able to do, and then they give me something that I shouldn't even be asked to do, and then I did that really well. It's like, this is life, I guess I should just get used to. It's like it's just such an interesting dynamic when they talk about, oh, you're gonna do the thing you love, and it's like even when you do the thing you love, it's gonna be very interesting, and that always helped me adjust throughout my growing up,
Yeah.
But then when all of a sudden you're doing, it's like a weird out of body experience. You're like, no, that's what I was thinking about years ago. Am I
Yeah.
having to do that now?
Yeah,
yeah.
It reminds you you're an adult, which is never fun.
yeah, no.
No, but
God.
another show
Friends.
I find very similar to Friends that a lot of people actually don't like, but I love this show, is that 70s show.
It's a really good show
I
too.
do
I
like that
love
70s show.
that
I've
show.
never actively watched it, but whenever it was on like TV, like Nick at Night and stuff like that when we were younger, I used to watch it.
I've watched it like all the way through.
And like Mila
probably
and
3
Ashton
times.
now. They're just like
Yeah,
a cute
Yeah.
little
it's really cute.
fam
It's really
and
sweet.
just-
That was also another show that was like, oh, I didn't really understand this when I was little. Like I never knew when they were sitting in a circle that they were smoking. I
Yeah, they do.
that
a good
just
job.
went
Stuff that
way
just
over.
goes over
I just
your
thought they were
head.
like weird.
Yeah.
And then my cousin was like, yeah, and then they all smoke pot, and I was like, what?
What are you talking about?
I was
Why are
like,
you like
what show are you watching?
stop trying to dirty my characters?
And then she's like, yeah, that's why there's the smoke, and they all start laughing, and then they
yeah.
always eat after, and they say weird things. I was like,
Connecting
oh my
dots.
gosh.
Oh,
Yeah, but I was like 12.
yeah.
I don't know.
What's weird about that, like that show has amazing writing, like such underrated writing.
Oh,
because
yeah.
like the presentation of the show is really easy for people to go, oh, that's stupid. But if you just watch it, like just watch it and try not to laugh, like it's just so
It's im-
funny.
it's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't think you can not laugh. And then also like all the stuff about growing up, not
True.
knowing what you want to do, feeling tied down to like a significant other. Not tied down. Well, that came
Shout out
out
to her significant
yeah,
other. Tying
shout
her
out
down.
to you, Greg, tying me down. No, but like just being unaware of your future.
Mhm.
It's very relatable right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on to the first drama, I guess.
Oh.
Gossip Girls. I guess Gossip Girls.
that's more of like a melodrama.
Gossip Girl's like a teeny bop drama.
Yeah.
Drama.
PLL,
Drama.
yeah.
drama.
PLL style.
Well,
Yes.
the first real drama, Breaking Bad,
So good.
Never watched it.
because
Now.
that was like my
home now.
freshman college
I
experience.
go home watch Breaking Bad. You better go home and watch Parks and Rec.
I'll do
Yeah.
it. I'll trade you that.
That's a very
It's-
fair
that show is
trade-off.
the revolutionary show.
I did.
Even if you're just watching it for like to appreciate it, it's just so good.
It's amazing. Plot development is amazing. That was the first show I watched that was like, wow,
Yeah.
like this is really good. TV. Like, this isn't just to entertain me. This is like, it's to entertain me, but it's like there's something
Make you
deeper to
think.
this.
It's to make you, yeah, it's not even just to make you think, it's to make you process your thinking, which is like
Yeah.
a whole nother level. Because
Like,
there are
would
shows
you
that
do
make you
what he
think,
does?
but
Would
you have to
you?
process how you're thinking it. And that's like, that's a gold star. That's like a best television award
Yeah.
type of program, you know? And I've been told that Better Call Saul is just as good, so I'll have to watch it.
I've heard lesser accolades about Better Call Saul, but I don't know if that's just because it's like still kind
It's a
of
very
new.
different show.
I've
Yeah.
never even heard of that.
But I've heard it was very good
It's like
because
kind of a
it's more of a
spin-off.
it's
Okay.
got more comedy to it. So like it's going to be different.
That makes sense.
But I heard like the first couple episodes are a little weak, but then after that it just picks up into this really interesting story. And so I'm going to have to watch it. I'll probably binge it like I binged Breaking Bad cuz I watched all of Breaking Bad. I watched the first 4 seasons to catch up and then watched the final season live.
Oh, okay.
So like and the final season was two different
Yeah,
like 8.
I watched all of it and then caught up with the last half of season 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's what you did?
I think that was me. No, it was close. I watched all of it, watched the first half of season 5 live,
Oh, okay.
and then I was actually so busy during the airing of the second half that I actually watched it all in the marathon leading up.
Oh.
So I watched the entire second half of season 5 in one sitting, which I don't recommend for anybody, by the way.
Yeah.
I was an emotional wreck. I felt hollow in a way.
Yeah.
That's the worst feeling.
I remember when I finished watching it at like 3:00 in the morning, like the whole thing. Because I
Oh.
didn't watch it like live on TV. I would watch it like on some bootleg website. And then
You broke me. That was funny.
and
Sorry.
it was awesome. Like I remember finishing it and just being like, it's over. Like
The ending was so good too, and I have very few shows that I love that much and actually love the ending, and I felt like that was really the way they could do it. Like, this is the only way they could do it.
Right. Yeah.
And that song at the end,
sure.
I think my favorite story about Breaking Bad is he picked that song, and the producers in the studio and like the channel were all like, "What are you doing? That's no one knows that song. It's so stupid." And then they picked that song, and then it became the #1 song the next day on iTunes. And they were like, "Well, you know what? You're right, Vince. I'm sorry."
We're not gonna doubt you. Well, onto a show that's the complete opposite of Breaking Bad is Gilmore Girls.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, as much as I
I have mixed feelings on the revival too.
yeah,
but
as much
I
as
do
I
love the show.
hated and loved to rip apart the revival and Rory, I do love Gilmore Girls. It has a very special place in my heart for like an early 2000s, like that really did shape a lot of who I was growing up, like in elementary and middle school. So I'd be very, very false to not include it on this
Yeah.
list.
I appreciate this list because it's making me think of my list. You know,
Yeah.
like shows that have impacted me that I've either forgotten about or haven't gone back to in a while. It makes you emotional to
It
think
makes
of
me
like
very emotional.
because
It's
like
making
Gilmore
me
Girls,
emotional.
like when we finished it, because I watched it with my girlfriend. I talked about this earlier in the year. We were rewatching the entire
Right.
show leading up to the revival, and when the show ends, and like that wasn't supposed to be the end, and everyone keeps like a lot of the creators and everyone were like, "Oh, this was so stupid. I hated the ending." To be honest, it's one of my favorite endings to a show. It just felt so clean and like so this makes sense, and like they did the pullout and everything was exactly as you would like want it to be, and
Yeah.
and you're just sitting there like crying, and you're like, "Oh, so they're just gonna eat food in the diner? Okay, I'll never see it again, but it's fine."
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I get emotional when I think about like the early seasons of Gilmore Girl and then just like the la la la, like the guitar. I don't know. It's
La 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 la. Yeah.
la 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 la. Yeah, basically. But anyway, moving on to another comedy yet again, Veep.
I want to start watching
still
that one.
haven't watched
love Veep.
I saw the
Veep
video
is
they
on
released right now.
the joke level of 30 Rock.
no.
Oh my god, no.
Yes,
All right, now I have to watch Veep.
Oh god.
but it's on the joke level of 30 Rock, but with severe burns.
oh my god,
Ooh.
yes.
Like people, like I had to when I
Yes.
first started watching, I was like, wow, I have to readjust how cynical the show kind of is.
that's kind of great.
Because at the end of the day, 30 Rock makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Oh my god, yes.
But Veep is kind of like, oh yeah, everyone in Washington sucks.
It's ripping satire. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. It's hilarious. You can very easily binge watch this. The
Okay.
new season's coming out in May, so I'm very, very excited for that. But yeah, it's a great time to watch it. Like with the current political season, maybe
God,
you'll get a
yes.
little bit of
Cheer.
an outlet, an emotional
Bit.
outlet. But it's also like you enjoy watching it so much. I only started watching it last summer, and I've seen the whole show probably 3 times or
Wow.
4.
Wow.
I'm
That's
not sure.
impressive.
That is very
It's very
impressive.
quick to watch though, because it's only 10 episodes,
Yeah, because
and it's on its 6th season, so it's only like 50 episodes.
that's not bad.
It's definitely
bad at all.
doable. That's like a weekend for me. That's like a Saturday.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
next on the old list?
what's next on the list is Jane the Virgin. I've talked
I
about
wanna
this
watch that
before.
one.
It's good. I don't really know if I like where it's going, but the first 2 seasons are so good.
Yeah.
And it was like everything I had been waiting for, like a Latina lead,
Yeah.
and you know, like family aspects I could definitely identify and relate to.
Oh my god, I can only imagine.
But I've talked about Jane the Virgin a lot on this show, so that's all I'll spend on that. Next is House of Cards. I do like House of Cards.
I've never seen that one.
I don't like
which
it.
I think about it and I'm like, that was like the Netflix show that like really boomed.
Took off.
It was the
Netflix, yeah,
first
you know,
Netflix original, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah.
you know.
So they took a leap
They've
of
been
faith
waiting
with that.
forever to make a new season for that show, right? It's
Yeah, it's coming
soon.
out in May as well.
They're
So
probably like,
both
"Oh my
my
God, like-"
political shows, one that's very, very dark, and the other one that's very dark but funny. So
I started to watch House of Cards, and I kind of got hooked, but I think it's something that's so hard to watch. Like, it's not an easy watch. Certain shows
It
just
is
aren't
not.
easy.
I found myself being very cynical
Yeah.
after I watched it.
Have either one of you watched 13 Reasons Why yet?
No,
No. I
I'm
binged it
avoiding
this
like,
weekend.
I'm avoiding it like the plague.
Oh my god, I binged
Yep.
it this weekend and it was amazing.
I'm not ready to cry like
It
that.
was amazing. The last 3 episodes, like, well, you guys know, like, it's Netflix's most popular show now.
Is it really?
Yeah, just from this weekend alone.
That's
Like,
insane.
it went to number 1, and oh my god, it's
I heard
so.
they did a really good job.
Oh my god, it's so well deserved. Those last 3 episodes, though, I was like, oh, I was like, I don't like using this term, but I was shook. Like, I was real, like that hollow feeling.
I literally
you get it.
like I cringe
my
every time
God.
people say that.
No,
but
my
I
God.
understand.
You just they're just oh god, and I can't even like tell you anything because I mean I'm sure you know like what the show's about, but it just
I heard it's very happy, very cheerful.
oh yeah, it's totally cheerful.
Somebody told me it's very much like
A
This
ray
Is
of
Us
sunshine.
on the level of Sunshine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when exams and everything is over, please just sit and watch. Listen, you watch the first episode and you're not gonna want to stop.
Well, that's why I'm waiting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think my first post grad show is gonna
A
be
comedy.
yeah, it's gotta
Same.
be,
Yeah.
it's gotta be a
It
comedy.
can't be sad. It can't be like this could happen to you in 3 weeks. You know, like it
God,
can't be-
no.
that'd be
No,
depressing.
it's gonna be Arrested Development. I've decided.
It's
That's been on my
so
list so
good.
long that
I
I
heard that
have
one's
I have
hilarious.
to watch it.
The 4th season's a mess, but
That's what I
1
heard,
through
too.
3 are good. The thing that's weird about the 4th season is he tried like a new style, and it's kind of interesting. But I actually just read an article about a month ago that he, for the last 2 years, has been working on recutting a version of Arrested Development season 4
Oh,
that's like the old show,
okay.
where instead of focusing on one person each episode, it's just like a normal
Right.
version.
Oh.
There's also someone cutting it into a movie, which is interesting. That's crazy.
Another show I'm gonna watch when I graduate is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Can't
I
do
heard
it.
that one's hilarious too.
Yeah, that's like
It's too
my
stupid
friend
for me.
Rachel's favorite show. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. But lastly, on my list, it should be no surprise
The beautiful.
that it is my favorite
Beautiful.
show of all time, and like forever will stay that way. Is 30 Rock.
God, I am in love with this show. I'm like still in the honeymoon phase with it, and
You never leave.
The honeymoon phase will never. It's like
that's
weird.
It's
makes
the
me so
best
happy.
partner.
Oh.
The
There's
honeymoon
no-
phase
See,
will
like,
never leave you.
the first like episode or two, actually the first episode or 3, I was like, like I don't get what all the hype is
Really?
about. Like,
It's
yeah, I was
so
like,
funny
I don't get what all the hype
right
is about.
away.
Then all of a sudden, like it just like one of the storylines or just something in one of the episodes just kicked into full gear, and I was like, I can't stop. Like I can't stop. Like on the first or second episode, I was almost like, I might not keep watching this show. But then I just
What
like,
is wrong
it
with
might
you?
have been episode 3, honestly, and then I was just like, oh my god, here we go.
I think the first bit that made me die laughing was in like the second or third episode. He and Lemon like have
I love living.
this exchange that's 2.5 minutes long. It's like a crazy long scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't stop laughing. Like I just
Oh, I know.
couldn't stop myself. And I went, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like I'm in.
I know which one was mine. Mine was the episode when Liz thinks that her neighbor is a terrorist.
And he's training for the Amazing Race.
That's such a good storyline. Yeah.
And it just happens to be
It
this
just-
like
Oh,
Middle
God.
Eastern guy.
God, you know what? The thing is too is that like Liz, like in the show, is like, no, like I'm not being racist. I am not being racist. Like this guy is but the reason why is because he's so socially awkward. That's what it was. And you know, the way he acted to her until he gave her the video, and until he got back from the whole interrogation. No, but the scene when she walks into Jack's office and she's like, I got to talk to you about something. His little Indian assistant's in there, and he's like, "What is it, Lemon? Like this and that." And she's like, she was like, "I don't think I should say this in front of everybody." And he goes, "Whatever you have to say to him, like you can say in front of me." And she goes, "I think my like Middle Eastern like neighbor is a terrorist." And the Indian guy's like, "Oh." And then
Yeah.
Jack's like, "Lemon, just because someone is from Middle Eastern descent does not mean that they are like automatically a terrorist. Like shame on you for thinking
Oh,
otherwise."
but the next line is
Oh
so good.
my god! The Indian guy walks out. He turns to Lemon. He goes, "I'm just kidding. Call it." And
Yeah, he's like,
oh my god! I was like, I just lost it because I was like,
he goes, he's like, I'm just joking. Call it in.
be an American. Call it in.
Yeah, he goes, be an
That's
American.
that's when I fell in love with 30 Rock, because I was like, his character should be
just-
not a good person, but he just is. You know,
God.
He
like,
is a good
somehow.
person, but he's just such a satire
Just
of a
such
Republican
such
like executive.
stereotypical Republican, and I just cry. I was just
His
oh,
one-liners.
God.
They're
Yeah,
so good. Like
It's like-
be an American, be
Yeah,
a good American.
be a good-
Be an American. Call it in.
It's just so good. But yeah, I get your
laughing.
I get your 30 Rock.
God.
I mean, that's in my top 5, and I just watched it. So
Yeah,
that's,
Yeah.
same.
that's saying
Honestly,
something.
that is like. There's also, I don't know if you have gotten to this part yet, but the like bit where Tracy Jordan's wife wants him to get a tattoo of
So
her
good.
no,
to
haven't
prove
seen that yet.
his love, and then then they were like, well, what if we just like when we go to the strip clubs we draw on it and make it into a lion, and then they call it Tangiers because her name's Angie. I don't. It's
And he gets
God.
Tangiers
and he gets Tangiers
instead of
like,
Angie, and forgets the whole point
Yep.
of the tattoo.
Oh my god,
That show's so
my
good.
God.
I love that show. I also love like Grizzin.com because they went
Yeah.
from just being like two scary black guys
to actually
They-
being
To
active
being,
in the
They
role.
like
It's
act
true.
really well in that
Yeah.
show. Like they make that show really funny.
I
All,
love
all of the
Kenneth.
background people make that show.
Kenneth
Kenneth.
is oh my god, I love Kenneth.
Kenneth's
in the,
solid.
I actually think what started selling me on the show was in that episode when they do the poker like thing like in season 1 like
Mm.
at the place, and like it's like Jack versus Kenneth, and he's like
That's really
Kenneth is
good.
gonna be all our bosses one day. Like he was like, I'm calling it right now. And Kenneth like goes like skipping down the hallway or something like that. But I heard though it was were you the one who told me this, Sabrina, that like as the seasons progress, like Kenneth's background gets more and more revealed.
It's
And
interesting.
like
Yeah.
it's very interesting where he comes from, and I'm really excited to see that because the other day his accent slipped out when he got really upset, and it was
oh
so
no,
thick.
donkey donkey.
And it was so funny.
Oh my god!
They do some really weird stuff with Kenneth, but that's what makes the
They
show
do
so
some
fun.
really
it.
weird stuff.
in general. Yeah.
Period. Like there's
Period.
Their
like,
live shows
when-
though are the best.
I'm excited for those. Someone
Yeah.
told me about the live shows, and they were like, I was like, wait,
Why
what?
does
They were
everything
like-
look like a Mexican soap opera?
That was so good. And then like having a Liz double. Anyway,
Oh no, the bet. I think like one of my favorite episodes to watch, and it was when he's dating Salma Hayek.
Oh, I just
and
finished these.
He's like, oh, her abuela comes,
Oh, I
and
just
he
finished
looks just like the
Yeah.
evil guy from the like soap opera.
so good.
man.
Yeah.
That
This
was
show's
relatable,
crazy.
though.
The
I
moral of
love
the
it.
story, all of this, go if you haven't seen it yet, even
Please
if
go
you have,
watch.
go watch
Go
it.
watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's on Netflix, but I'm really thinking I should just buy the collection.
I was gonna
Hey, if
buy
you're
that
that
box
dedicated,
set
do
just
it.
for just to have.
Yeah, because I
You know?
don't. If they ever take it down Netflix,
You'll
I'll
cry.
be heartbroken.
Yeah.
Or if the internet just ever implodes on itself, okay, we need to have it hard copies.
If we go and pull a Kimmy Schmidt and go into a bunker, we need to be able to
Yeah,
watch 30 Rock.
exactly.
Yeah, on my DVD
Well,
player.
you know what I didn't realize is that Jenna's in Kimmy Schmidt. Oh my god, and Kimmy Schmidt. She's in Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Yeah.
yeah, camera.
Like I watched
I
one
want to
before
be
the
on.
other, so it was funny to watch 30 Rock after having seen her in Kimmy.
Oh yeah. See, for
haven't
me,
finished Kimmy
it was
yet.
obviously the opposite. So I was like, "Whoa, this is weird."
Yeah.
But she's still kind of like that conceited personality.
Oh,
She's
yes.
like,
Yeah.
if it's a blonde woman,
I mean-
I will kill myself.
I can't honestly, like, I tried to watch Kimmy Schmidt and the first season was okay. The second season starts off so weird I had a hard time, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
try again.
It was weird, but it's still like a good time. No alcohol required.
Anyway, is that it? Is that wrapping it for your
I
list?
wouldn't close it with any other show.
Can't close it with any
I
other
gotta
show.
tell you, we pretty much identified with that list pretty well, so that
Yeah.
tells you that they're really good shows.
Yeah.
And that our
love-
tastes are similar, so I'll have to watch the other ones.
Yes.
Then moving on, the next segment, obviously, since Nico could not be with us today, is going to be the movie segment, our box office. I got to tell you, I'm kind of surprised. Boss Baby's #1 again.
wow. Wait, number 1?
Yeah,
Ew.
it was number
Wait a
1 last
minute.
week, too.
I thought it was gonna be like in the top 5.
I thought it'd be
but, like,
garbage, to be honest.
Yeah.
but
yeah.
I mean, good for Alec Baldwin, though.
Alec Baldwin, man.
Proving maybe it's just funny, you know? Like, it looked bad, but maybe it's just funny enough.
Maybe. Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, so that's the #1 with 26 million this weekend. Number 2, Beauty and the Beast, is about to cross the billion mark worldwide.
I think it did.
Did it already?
I think it did because I saw a message on Instagram today from Disney, and they were like, "Hey guys, thanks for getting us into the billions." Like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, because it was about to this weekend, I think. So maybe it passed during the week. Smurfs Lost Village, the poor Kenneth, because he was in this movie
Poor
as
Kenneth,
a voice, and Smurfs Lost Village opened 13 million. Is not very good
Yeah,
for an
no.
opening of that movie. So
Yeah.
that's rough. Going in Style opened to 11 million. That's the Zach Braff directed flick. Low budget, so that's probably fine. Ghost in the Shell
Oh God.
still not making any of its money back.
I actually
$7
saw
million.
the funniest meme about Boss Baby and Ghost in the Shell because it opened the same weekend, right? And it was like Boss Baby. It was like what's the line from Batman? It's like not the hero we needed, but the one we didn't deserve, or something
Yeah.
like that. And it was Boss Baby next to Ghost in the Shell. It was like Ghost, like because
Oh,
Boss
that's
Baby
awesome.
beat it out. I was like yes, but so anyways, continue. Sorry.
You're good. Number 6, Power Rangers, and another 6 million. I'm honestly a little worried because I really hope they make another one. I thought this one was really good
I think they're supposed to.
because it hasn't made
Right?
that much money. Like it's gonna make like back its budget over here. It's done pretty well overseas, and they're gonna make tons of money on merch. I just don't know if they're gonna take this as a symbol enough that they're gonna keep going with the franchise. But I really do hope they do because I was shocked. Like I don't know if you guys have seen it, but
I haven't seen it, but from the person who I heard from was like, it's really not half bad.
it's
like
quite good.
Yeah.
honestly, especially for a Power Rangers movie. So. Yeah. Kong Skull Island, number 7 with another 5 million. It's slowly making its money back.
racks on racks.
Get Out is still making money. Another
whoop.
$4 million for that movie. It's now at $162 million on a $4.5 budget. Logan is a number 9 spot with another 4 million there. And that movie, it's at like 200 million and then plus worldwide. And I mean, it's making money. It's just a little sad because I was hoping it'd make more.
Yeah, yeah.
It is what it is.
It's kind of though like right now, I feel like the movies that make the most money throughout the year are like the summer blockbusters.
Always, yeah.
So it's just
It was a
it's just
weird
that time of
release
year.
time, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Logan, yeah, number 9 spot. And then lastly, number 10, the movie The Case for Christ.
Always Easter, baby.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's Easter.
it's the Easter movie for the Christians to go see. That's all it is.
There you go.
And that movie made $3 million. And I'm sure the budget wasn't much at all, so I'm sure
Yeah,
it was
no.
good. But that wraps up the movie segment. I'll go ahead and hop into Matt's thoughts. Let me think. Did you guys like that one? No? Okay. I thought that was interesting. I've been thinking about a lot of stuff this week, honestly. I've been watching Girls.
Tell us what you've been thinking about.
And I will. I'll share my thoughts.
Yes.
I've been watching Girls, and it's a really, really good show. It also makes me think about the fact that when I was told about Girls, I was told it was a comedy. And
it's not.
At best, it's a dramedy. I mean, it's funny, but it's like heart-wrenchingly serious a lot of the time.
Oh God.
Like it's dramatic. No, good. Like it's really good. It's just like it there's some emotions there.
Some emotions.
And so I've been I've been watching that, and I'm keeping up with that a little bit. I actually just listened to some new music this weekend. That's exciting.
That is exciting.
For me, I've been trying to pick that back up because I used to be a huge music nerd, and it's been a while since I've listened to new music.
And what did we find?
Oh, what did I find? I found that I like a lot of I was trying to focus on finding new rappers that I like. So I asked a bunch of friends for suggestions, and I think I liked about half of them, which is fair. I mean, usually when you get new music suggestions, you don't like everyone. But I really enjoyed it. I found a couple like rappers that even if I don't necessarily love them, their flow is nuts. Like there's this Christian rapper called NF, and he has like a crazy flow, and that was impressive. And I was just like I was appreciating the fact that I was back in music. So that's that. And then I guess the last part of my thoughts are that I'm gonna miss Art Things Considered because this is my last episode.
Yeah, man. Matt's been here. He's like a founder. You know, he was on the start of this show with Erica and Armando, and who was the name of the girl who I replaced?
Oh, you don't remember who?
I don't remember who I replaced. Yeah, she wasn't here. I'm sorry. I'm sure she's a very nice, girl. But you've been here since the start.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy, but yeah, it's weird because it's evolved every year. You know, like the first year, it was interesting because it was so new, and like we were all so new, and that was fun. And I think last year was just a freaking blast.
Oh my God, we had so much fun last year. That was a good one.
And I miss Armando. I think like I mean Nico's great, and like Sabrina, you're amazing. This year was on par with last year.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's like I only had a year to get to know you guys. Last year, like I'd had the test run with Armando and Erica, and then like the second year it was just like we were all comfortable with each other.
Yeah,
Right.
and then I just like slid in there.
Yeah.
Like I was like skeet, like what's up, guys? Like yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice, and it's kind of crazy because I'm gonna obviously have to keep podcasting because I don't know what I'll do if I don't. But,
Yeah, it dies.
But and I actually just started a new podcast with a friend. We'll be releasing that eventually, but
Ooh.
I'll probably put that on the page when I do because we won't be recording, so they might as well listen to something.
Yeah.
But it's just it's gonna be kind of crazy not being here, and I keep thinking about it because like now I can finally not think about getting homework done and projects done, and
I know. I cannot wait to not have to do that. You
well,
know?
like all I have left now, I finally today am done with 2 of my final projects out of the 3. And the only other thing I have to do for the third one is I have to help edit a little bit for Dramatic, and that's it.
And then you're done?
I finished one class entirely already, and then on next Tuesday I'll finish After Effects, and then Wednesday I'll finish my other class, and then
you're done, right?
No, because I'm doing this stupid like minor class that I have a paper due the 26th, and that's when I'll be done.
That's
but
when I have my last paper due.
I mean, it's fine because after that I'll be done forever.
I think
That's
tomorrow
fair.
is because reading days start next week, right?
Next Wednesday.
Next
Yeah,
Wednesday and
so
Thursday.
then
Or next
my-
next Wednesday through Friday.
Yeah. So then my last class, I'm done with it tomorrow. For not my last class, but my first one that I'm done with
Right.
is tomorrow. I'll be done with it finally. Thank God.
That's
But,
nice.
yeah,
After my screening on Monday, I'm basically done for the Dramatic final project, which will be really interesting to see.
Yeah, it was interesting when we did ours because half the class had it done and then the other half like did not have it done.
Really?
Yeah, and it was really embarrassing for them. I'm not gonna lie. But
I mean,
I'm
I don't know
happy.
if ours will be perfect, but it'll be watchable.
It'll be done.
No, of course it'll be done.
Yeah.
Like,
Our whole idea is like I'm supposed to be cleaning up sound and doing color on Sunday. So obviously, if we hit that goal, it's gonna be practically a final version.
Yeah.
Now, if they
Right.
don't get it to me Sunday, that'll be different. But I think we'll be fine. And honestly, I think it's gonna be crazy because I don't think I've ever worked this hard on a short film before.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
it's
accurate.
pretty long compared to like most of the short films I've worked on have been like 5 to 8. I think this one's gonna end up being at least 12 minutes, if not 15.
really.
Yeah.
Ours was exactly like 9, right
That's
on the
nice.
dot. Yeah, but
Well,
we edit.
we have a lot
a
of dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
more longer scenes, but we also have action, so it's kind of hard because like as a cinematographer, it was awful. Not awful. It was interesting, like a challenge, you know, like because you had to balance all these action shots matching up with like getting your clean dialogue and like getting them
Right.
lit and like getting coverage. It was very interesting, but definitely a challenge professionally, but I'm really proud of my work and that's exciting. Like for the first time, I think I did a project that I could like show somebody and be like, hey, I worked on this and like it's relatively professional level and look at it, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's exciting.
That is exciting.
I'm sure you felt the same way.
Yeah, I did. I actually was pretty like I was really stressed out about After Effects this whole like before the semester even began.
Same.
But I've been really like proud of how my stuff has come out, and I didn't think it was gonna be like that at all. I thought I was gonna like hate it. So that's really exciting though, because I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I am good at this. But now I'm just like stressing out about my final project.
Yeah, I feel
which
you.
I'm gonna go edit after this.
That was me last semester. I was like the last
Yeah.
week or two. I was just like, oh god.
But I feel like he's like,
He's a lot more chill,
Is it just me, or is he not grading as difficult as
Who's it, Sorrel?
yeah
Yeah.
What
I
as you
heard-
expected?
I
or-
heard like that.
as I expected?
He's a lot nicer than people give him credit for. Like if you work, he'll give you a B.
Yeah,
If you work really hard and he loves it, he'll give you an A. That's
Yeah.
just basically how it works.
pretty much.
And if you do all of your projects and turn them in all on time and show up all the
Oh.
time, then as long as you get like mid to high B's, you'll get an A in the class. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
at least an A minus. You might not get an A. A is rough. 'cause
well,
it's like a 94.
A 94 is an A in his class.
Yeah.
I think I'll end up with like a solid A minus,
Which
because
is
right now I have
something to be so proud of.
I have a 93, and I'd have to get like a 20 out of 20 on my final project to get it to a 94.
Yeah, it'd be nuts.
So I don't think that's gonna happen, but it'd be nice.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, one final Erica thought,
No.
I guess, because this will probably be the last time we do Erica thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Because when someone
Yeah.
else comes in here, ideally they'll do Matt thoughts.
Yeah.
I would hope.
Yeah. Hopefully.
It'd be hilarious if everyone keeps doing Erica thoughts for the rest
Just
of
do
the.
that for the rest of the time. That'll be fine.
Everyone forgets about the other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one last thought. I actually thought of her because I was watching. I want to watch Passengers, even though I've heard it's awful.
Oh.
This sounds really bad, but so I've
No.
been. I was watching one of the interviews that Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence did, and I'm like 99% sure that she's seen this interview. So I'm hoping she lets me know. But they did this like childish insult fight on this radio station.
Oh, I
Have you
saw
guys seen
that. It was
No.
actually really funny.
It was so funny, but I think the best thing is like Chris Pratt just didn't want to hurt her so much, and it just made me like so much more in love with Chris Pratt.
I love
but
Chris
like
Pratt.
I could see everything that Erica loves about J Law, so
Yep.
that was interesting.
J.
But I just thought
Lawrence,
I'd share that. And yeah, that's gonna
That wraps it up.
wrap it up. It's gonna wrap up this
Wrap
week's
it up.
edition of Art Things Considered. We've considered a lot of art this year, and I think we left you with a pretty decent last episode.
Yeah.
Pretty long.
Yeah.
Pretty,
pretty
definitely long.
We
long.
went
You got plenty of
in,
content.
yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome, guys. All right.
Anyway, my name is Matthew Slaza,
I'm Isabella Pico.
And I'm Sabrina Brago.
and that was Art Things Considered. I will not see you next week or next year.
Me neither.
I'll be here.
Have a good summer, guys.
Please end it.